Due to the country's recent mobilization law, dual citizens of the US and Ukraine have been advised by the US Embassy in Kiev that they might not be permitted to exit the country. Martial law was implemented in February 2022, and male Ukrainians between the ages of 18 and 60 are prohibited from leaving the nation. The US Embassy in Kyiv understands that effective June 1st, Ukraine has eliminated a residence abroad, exception that previously allowed certain Ukrainian males aged 18 to 60 to depart the country. The US Embassy recommended dual US-Ukrainian nationals to stay put and follow local instructions, stating that it had little power to change Ukrainian law. For male US nationals between the ages of 18 and 60, who also hold Ukrainian citizenship or a claim to it and do not intend to remain permanently, the embassy strongly advises against traveling to Ukraine. Due to a severe lack of personnel, Ukraine is going to great lengths to bolster its military, including suspending consular services and enacting legislation permitting murderers and other detainees to volunteer for duty. The European Commission is currently contemplating the classification of hate speech as one of the most serious crimes, alongside establishing comprehensive rules for its prosecution and investigation across the EU. This concept was initially put forward by the European Citizens Panel on Tackling Hatred in Society, which aims to support EC President Ursula von der Leyen's vision of a democracy fit for the future. While the panel's proposals are described as clear and ambitious, the term hate speech itself lacks a clear definition. According to the report, any speech that conflicts with the values of freedom, democracy, human rights, human dignity, or the rule of law should be considered hate speech. However, critics argue that this approach is both arbitrary and ambiguous, noting that in Europe, speech can still be legal even if it is considered unpleasant or distressing. In response, the panel is also advocating for a revised definition of hate speech, striving to ensure it is consistently identified and condemned throughout the EU. The National Institutes of Health, or NIH, and its scientists earned $710 million in royalties from late 2021 to 2023 as a result of the pandemic, according to new statistics the organization released. The National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, under the direction of Dr. Anthony Fauci and 260 of its scientists, received the majority of this funding, $690 million. The NIH is closely guarding information regarding this massive privatized royalty complex. In an attempt to uncover the $325 million in royalties paid across 56,000 transactions from September 2009 to October 2021, OpenTheBooks.com filed a lawsuit. Payments to NIH from the corporate sector increased dramatically during the pandemic era, more than doubling from the previous 12 years combined. It is $1.036 billion in total. It's not clear if these new figures even include the $400 million that Moderna and Pfizer agreed to pay in a settlement with the NIH for the COVID vaccination royalties. 6 FOIA cases are still pending as a result of NIH's persistent treatment of FOIA requests. Typically, the National Institutes of Health continues to withhold information that could link medications to the government-funded researchers who created them. The Royalty Transparency Act, sponsored by Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, should be put to a vote on the floor right away after passing committee. Fauci might say that he backs legislation similar to Paul's, demand that the NIH and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention unmask the royalty payments on a voluntary basis, and support amendments to the FOIA statute that establish severe penalties for willful violators. Thomas Binder gained notoriety when he was forced into a mental health facility for his opposition to the needless and harmful globalist COVID storyline. Dr. Binder Maryland has 35 years of clinical experience, studied medicine at the University of Zurich, and earned his PhD in immunology and virology. He specializes in internal medicine and cardiology. Thomas advocated for the resurgence of genuine science, medicine, and humanity in February 2020. His strong objection to the illogical and unsound COVID policies led to his detention and a referral for mandatory psychiatric care. Dr. Thomas Binder subsequently informed Dr. Drew last year that he was placed in an institution and had to take mental health drugs as a result of his vocal opposition to the COVID-19 narrative and pandemic fear. Dr. Binder recently demanded that the World Health Organization be abolished because of its inept and gravely harmful declarations and actions during the COVID-19 pandemic. At two sizable seminars in Hungary and Italy, over 1,000 people made decisions to follow Jesus Christ, according to international evangelist Jean-Luc Traxel, who has described a fire of revival throughout Europe. The founder of Jean-Luc Traxel Ministries, Traxel, placed a strong emphasis on the need for Christians to stand together and share the gospel with kindness and compassion to the current generation. He revealed that 1,300 people surrendered their lives to Christ during the This Is the Day worship gathering in Miskolc, Hungary, and that 25,000 people worshiped Jesus in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France. With a capacity of more than 15,000, the event was full of hungry hearts for God and featured worship led by Grammy Award-winning Christian music artist Chris Tomlin. At the Apostolic Conference 2024 in Rome, which was organized by the Chiesa Apostolica in Italia, or the Apostolic Church in Italy, Traxel also delivered a speech on the strength of the Holy Spirit. 11,000 Italian churches came together for the conference, and reports of miracles and healings were made. Traxel issues a warning, estimating that over that time there will be a roughly 100 million decline in the number of European Christians, while the Muslim population will rise by 63%. He exhorts Europeans to hold fast to their faith in God's omnipotence and commends those who are moving on with their goal of winning more people to God's kingdom. Like, share, and subscribe for more news headlines.